My name is Charlie Miller. I'm currently a basketball skills trainer out of Dallas, Texas, and an aspiring author and sought after speaker. What I do for a living is really just teach people, in my opinion, how to live life to the fullest by understanding their true potential, which is joy.
Book Lovers Unite. I'm Demethius Jackson, and you're listening to the Chapter 1 podcast. The greatest stories ever written all begin with Chapter 1. And each episode, our guest authors will share their first chapters with you. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of 2017. Here we are at the threshold of new goals, dreams, and new beginnings. So to start the new year off right, I wanted to present something that was inspiring. Something to give you a little more oomph to make it through the rest of the year. This episode is going to be different from our normal format. One of the requirements for the show is to be a published author with a book that is currently available somewhere on the market. However, this time I made an exception. Today I'll be speaking with Charlie Miller. Charlie and I met at a Halloween party, and after hearing this dude speak, I was just like, yo, I gotta have you on my show. I'm not even going to try to explain what it is Charlie talks and writes about. I wouldn't give it justice. Instead, we're going to start with a reading of one of his articles, and then we'll talk more in detail about his unique perspective. Simply put, Charlie inspires, and I can't think of a better way to start a new year, which will start right now.
The article is titled Full Speed Ahead and Safe Travels. The column is called Fifth Quarter because I feel that I'm in the fifth quarter of my life. If you think about any sports, when you're young, you play four quarters. So this is inspired from a quote I heard from Lou Holtz. And Lou Holtz said that, going to college is not just a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. So I call this run from in my 20s to until I go back to meet the earth. This is my fifth quarter of life. So, I played my 4 quarters. My eligibility is over. Now it's about imparting wisdom into other people. Watching a TED video brought up thoughts of my role model and dad, Charlie Miller Sr. The gist of the video, Windshield Effect, is that if you want to move forward, focus on what's in front of you, your windshield. You can look far down the road to prepare for what is ahead, but don't lose focus on what is there now. Likewise, you can't move forward without using your past, your rearview mirror, as a learning tool. Looking back through my rearview mirror, my dad rarely took time for himself. Constantly working 2 jobs, daily he bussed youth to and from sporting events with the Parks and Recreation Department of South Miami, and at night delivered Miami Community's newspapers. I could often be found in the front seat of the bus right by his side. And if I was lucky, I got to be his newspaper sidekick during the summer. I wasn't there to help with the paper route. I just wanted to be with him. My passion for playing sports stemmed solely from wanting to spend time with my dad. I started playing nearly every sport so I could be around him while he transported sports teams on the bus. The work ethic I learned from him and applied to basketball was a major factor in my becoming a blue chip recruit in high school. As I aged, I saw less of my dad and our relationship changed. I no longer had the time to ride the buses he drove and was too tired from basketball tournaments to accompany him on his newspaper route. Also, his work schedule and how he chose to prioritize his free time meant he missed a lot of my important events and milestones. Refocusing through my windshield, I realized that these memories impact every turn I decided to take on my life journey. I am now responsible for supporting a wife and 4 children and running my own basketball academy. I can honestly say I'm where I am today because of my dad. By acknowledging my past experiences with him, I am able to choose the ones I want to emulate and improve upon others. This allows me to have a fulfilling work-life balance. The moral of the story is that there is a reason why your windshield is much bigger than your rearview mirrors. Focus on what's in front of you as a driver of your life. When you look back, you realize objects may be closer than they appear. Your past is closer than you think. Use it to your advantage. Let it propel you forward on your journey and not slow you down. Safe travels, and remember to enjoy the ride.
Well, okay, let's start with you telling us what it is you do as far as your writing in your basketball academy.
Perfect. So, I have a business called Attack Basketball Academy, and it was birthed, I would say, about 2009, and actually happened by being at the right place at the right time for me, as I actually moved to Dallas, fourth quarter 2007, to become a sales manager at a copier company. And I happened to hire the right rep. And what happened at the time was he was coaching a club basketball team that I did not understand the concept at all of club sports. So once I did some homework and research on it, I was intrigued. And just like a lot of times when people introduce things to you, they don't necessarily they're not the decision maker. So I ended up getting with the decision maker, and it just wasn't room, for growth at the time, which I understood. But the timing and positioning, I guess, was imminent, because what ended up happening was there was actually a mom who wanted shooting lessons for her son. And my rep, the rep I hired at the copier company, did not want to do the training lesson. He thought this would be a great opportunity for me. And lo and behold, her son responded to my training. And it was, I didn't even know how much to charge. It was more so, let's do it, pro bono. Let's kind of figure some things out. And she kind of told one person that told another person. And then they had younger siblings. All of a sudden, through organic growth, word of mouth, I found myself 9 months later with 16 basketball teams.
Mm-hmm.
9 players are on a team. It all started from just really supporting somebody, not with one inkling of business in mind, how to run a basketball program, pro forma, none of that stuff. It was more so just your passion and drive. And it really led me to make a decision. I call MAD, M-A-D, make a decision. We'll talk about that. But I got mad. I guess I made a decision to cut off options, and I made it a full-time opportunity for me and my family. So ever since that time, this has been my corporate job, so to speak, since 2009.
You've developed a unique perspective that's a combination of motivation, philosophy, mathematics. I can't even explain it. Mm-hmm. How about you explain it to us?
Okay, I got to go into something, and I'm going to get back to this unique philosophy, but I do not believe in motivation. I do not. Because to me, motivation stems from an outside source. Through the trials, tribulations of life, for me, as a coach, as a teacher, as a whatever, when you push people beyond their belief, you run a risk of really shutting them out, because I don't know if they're going to really get the message. Mm-hmm. So for me, it comes down to reflection. And reflection is now what I call inspired reflection. That is an internal thing, not an external. And if it's internal, then what's going to push me is going to be inspired. That's winning from within. Mm-hmm. When I win from within, now I never have to use anybody else's motivation. And again, that's motivation. That's to satisfy the person I'm speaking to. And we don't realize we do this every single day as we look to become us, whoever we are. Mm-hmm. We puff up in front of people and we deflate at home, trying to figure out our next move. Now, to my whole point, that's why you have to understand the math behind what you're doing, what's driving you. And it's more than just any answer. It's more than really a why. It's more than motivation. And someone who's already successful is not going to really help me, because they're going to tell me what they went through, but I'm not going to know how to go through it myself. Mm-hmm. So let me get down to understanding what drives me. Who am I?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. When you first explained this to me, I didn't quite know what to make of it at first. But the more you spoke, the more it made perfect sense to me.
I appreciate your statement because the point is to really shock your thoughts. And whatever I said, I don't even remember what I said. But I'm constantly saying things like this and exploring. So it's come from really understanding potency. If you learn how to speak the right words at the right time, at the right order, with the right feel behind it, you're going to penetrate, and you speak passion. You feel passion. That's the whole point. The point is to speak feel. So I've learned to develop to speak feel. So when I say something, the first thing that comes out of my mouth, even if it's not the words, is there's a respect factor for you as a person. We all are in need of two things, in my opinion. Whoever you are, I don't care what you do, how much money you make, how much leverage you have, we're in need of two things: acknowledgement and attention.
Yes.
And when you give people those two things, guess what they give you back?
The same.
The same. With the regard to respect. I said earlier, first thing I do is respect you. That's reflection. It goes down to what Winston Churchill said. He said something to the matter of, people don't care about what you know until they know how much you care. Once they know how much you care, then what you know matters.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember one of the things that we talked about before was you mentioned there was a one of the students that you were speaking to.
I could share with you something very briefly. What I would do, I'm in the middle of becoming. Okay, I want to become a sought after speaker. I want to become a sought after author. This to me is practice. So I would unsolicitedly ask random coaches, hey, I want to come speak to your team, but I don't want to talk about basketball. I want to come talk about personal development, whatever. Oh, yeah, cool, whatever. Yeah, sure. And it's kind of like a indirect way to get me in front of people for practice. And what happened was I went to this one school, and there was this young lady. I kind of go through my whole little spiel. And the first thing I told everybody, I say, I respect everybody here. You don't know me, I don't know you, but what I'm not going to do is sit back and talk about everything I've done, because I'm going to probably be just like everybody else who ever spoke to you before. And I said, is that about right? And everybody raised their hand up. Yeah, gotcha. So to me, that's my way of getting everybody engaged. Okay, it's very simple. And then I proceeded to talk about what Maya Angelou said. She said, 20 years from now, you may have forgotten what someone said, but you'll never forget how they made you feel. So I talked about that, and I asked this young girl, I said, hey, tell me about your fifth grade teacher. Immediately, without even finishing my sentence, she said, I couldn't stand her. I said, wow. And I said, well, what did she teach you? It was math. What did she actually teach you? I don't remember. Okay, cool. My point. You don't remember, but you do remember how she made you. And without doubt, every single person, finished my sentence, feel exactly. Yeah. She's a senior. That was over 7 + 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So then from there, I said, hey, now what I know might strike a chord with you if you're willing to listen. I have your attention now? Everybody's like, yeah, perfect. They didn't know me. I didn't know them. But when you get people to loosen up and just to listen because you're on their side, they will then give you more than you could imagine. Yeah. But I want to be responsible with people's thoughts and words. I want to be responsible in persuasion. I call POP, P-O-P, power of position. I want to help other people understand they can do the same things. I've grown in an area, AJ, that has nothing to do with physicality. It's all mentality. And it's in my response. I've grown in response. So my response, ABILITY, ability, my responsibility has been my responsibility. Mm-hmm. And again, to me, I call it the LOL, right? I mean, just kind of this whole science and mathematics, laugh out loud. My laugh out loud, I call laws of life. Understand the laws of life and understand the human element behind everything you do. Keep it simple and watch what happens back.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily karma I'm after. I believe in spirituality. I believe in the religions, whatever it is, okay? Whatever God you believe in, that's all good, right? But there's a karma connection that we all have, that if you do right by people and if you are effective by being right by people, the reflection will come back. So again, it's a go give, not a go get. Because if I get, that's just me to you and that's it. It stops. But if we give, the give keeps on giving. Yeah. And the give is deeper than just words. It comes down to actions. And this is the whole little now science behind my little, let me just dive into it. So for me, it just comes down to this. Okay. So, people, have you ever heard the term, say do in a business setting? Or so people will say, well, you know what? Your say do matches because what you say, you actually do. So we can respect what you say and we'll follow you. Mm-hmm. Bottom line. Okay. I've learned to follow what people do before I follow what they say.
Right on.
So I got to be that example.
Yeah.
So the example I'm going to provide, and I tell people this all day, you're going to follow what I do before you follow what I say.
Yep.
When you realize I know what I'm talking about and when you see me do it, then what I say is going to inspire you. Because you're going to find the inspiration on your own, and then you are never going to be turned off.
Yeah.
You're always on.
It's funny. A lot of people don't notice, and it's not something that I broadcast. I rarely ever listen to what people say to me, unless it's chit chat or something like that. Because people will say anything. They'll just say whatever they're feeling at that moment. Mm-hmm. I always look at what people do because actions don't lie.
I'm with you.
And so, like you just said, once I can understand a person's actions, then I'm open to listening to what it is they say.
Well, yeah. To me, it's not even the answer or answers. It's the understanding behind what you're doing. And I'll give you an example. I was watching film with a basketball player. And it was brief. I mean, his dad just kind of pulled up on his phone. And I immediately noticed something that the player and his dad did not notice. Now, it was nothing big, but I said, hey, why didn't you go right? Now, you could almost imagine it's a 2-on-1 situation now, me, dad versus the kid.
Yeah.
And people have their nonverbal cues, and I kind of can pick up on. So when people start looking down, when I ask a question, I always do something, and I do this tactfully. I say these words, pick your head up, you're not in trouble. Literally, I don't care if it's an adult. I don't care if you're older than me, an adult, pick your head up. You're not in trouble. I'm now speaking to your subconscious because that quick, when we asked him why, it's almost as if we put him in a doghouse. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you see that? Because I wasn't looking. That satisfied me. Okay, cool. Why weren't you looking? My second why. Because I wasn't paying attention. That satisfied him. Okay, still not done. Why weren't you looking? The third why. Because I was more interested in the defender. Okay, I get it. What about the defender? I didn't want to lose the ball. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you want to lose the ball? So I didn't want to come out of the game. Gotcha. So it took me 5 whys. The first one satisfied me. Second one satisfied him. Third one was the foundation. Fourth one was the cause. Mm-hmm. Fifth one was the root of the cause. Mm-hmm. Fear. Fear drove him not to pay attention. The threat of coming out of the game drove him more. And that is all I'm after people to understand. You are being led by fear every day. Yeah. I'm really big into acronyms. To me, people can digest what I say because sometimes it's a mouthful. But is this the acronym of fear? We've heard, possibly we've heard, the one way of fear is false evidence appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
Another way, I say future events appearing real. Right? Yeah. So false appearances, right? So all these things that are driving you, but what is it costing you? What is it costing you to live in fear? So when you understand that as a teacher in general, forget a coach, as a person, when you understand what's driving somebody, then you have to look at fear at two ways. Fear is a threat or fear is an opportunity. If it's a threat, it's going to drive you down. So you're either going to be distracted, which is going to be no action at all, or limited action, right? You're going to procrastinate. And the other thing that comes up with all of the thoughts of you not doing something that you know you could do daily. Or you see fear as an opportunity. It propels you. And if it propels you, you turn problems into possibilities. You never go into anything as a problem. You have situations, you have opportunities, and you have solutions. If you change the focus of what you look at changes. So that simple setting right there, simple yet compelling to the kid, that if we don't go over the soft skills behind that, I don't care how many hours I spend with that kid on hard skills on the court. When that moment happens again, that best practice is going to come up called fear, over and over and over.
You've already alluded to this, but how does your perspective fit into your basketball academy?
It's just an edge, right? An edge to me is, in a very simple manner, is being a thumb on a hand. And go beyond the mindset of basketball IQ and building skills. Go beyond that. Everyone's saying the same thing. Go into the psychology of what's driving this kid to play the sport. And when you do, you actually end up helping that player and that player's parents more than they could ever imagine, because you're into the origins of why they're even doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I know that the majority of the people that I train, or the majority of people that play any type of sport, will go professional in something else other than that particular sport. So why not work on the soft skills of life right now? So when you do, or when you are in position to thrive, you can go back to something Coach Charlie said 20 years ago. You can use that, because now you have the understanding behind why I was so adamant on whatever it was. And it was not pushing a jump shot. It was really pushing a pen to paper, to take notes, to write down your emotions. It was doing things that people are not willing to do so you can create a slight edge. I think you, AJ, are running a race that only you are running. You're running your own lane. You actually are your own track. So that's a whole different mindset. And you look at that picture. Mm-hmm. So I got you on your own track and you're running and you realize, wait, why am I running? No one's here. I can literally walk and win. My point. And that walk is the journey. Slow down mentally, speed up physically. Once you understand what you're doing, go run your own race, but go walk it. It's beyond that whole mindset, work hard, passion, all those cliches. It's more than that. It's more than, because that's just average action. That's average action. And average action to me is mediocre. Mediocre, and you and I know, it's, in other words, just being bad. Mm-hmm. But that X factor to me is it. You have to have it. I've identified, in my opinion, that's what I want to write about. It, IT. It, when you don't know what you are, what you believe, but your belief is not strong, I call it identity theft. Mm-hmm. You're a fraud. The thoughts aren't clear enough. I can't follow it. Like you said earlier, your say-do doesn't match, Charlie. So I don't know if I want to do something with you. Okay. Well, guess what? You have to work on yourself. And when you work on yourself, I call it not go to, you have to grow through. When you grow through knowing who you are, your it now becomes your individual talent. And whatever that talent is, doesn't matter. The talent I'm after is having you be you in front of anybody. Speak, make mistakes in front of anybody, and be okay with it, because you've learned to get over yourself mentally.
It evolved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's all. That's all we're after. That's all in my quirky world, crazy equation, math, science, that's all I'm after. How you go from it to it. But individual talent, is something that is worth building through skill. But the details of how to build that is just an understanding. And it's all about potential, potency. And when your efficacy rate's high in anything that you do, all you need is a small dose, because it will run and it will carry. If you talk about Claritin and all these sinus medicines, that little small pill will give me 24 hours of release. Wow. How can my words do that? Where every single day I'm on a Claritin, high, right? I can go anywhere and it could be high sinus season, but I can walk, I'm fine. Well, how can you find that way up through life? It goes beyond your whys. Your why, again, to me, it's like the cause behind the root of what you do. What is your wow life? What is that life that'll make you cry tears of joy every single day? What am I after in this whole process? Human potential, joy. How to find joy. Mm-hmm. Joy is an emotion that is released when something is fulfilled. Something that was worth going after. A will, a need, a want, a desire. You achieved it. Joy was released. A little baby walking. After, stumbling, bumbling, can walk. That's joy. How can you live that every day? So now, whatever you put your mind to, you can truly do it because you live through joy. Because you know it's going to be a process of anything you do, but you can endure it because you want to embrace the struggles. And you're driven beyond belief. And actually, the simple gesture behind that is if you've ever written the abbreviation for within, you'll spell W/IN. Well, if you spell it out, what does it spell?
Win.
You win from within. That's why I don't believe motivation. Mm-hmm. You have to find enough of what you already possess to realize you have enough. But it all starts with gratitude. Gratitude will make you realize what you currently have is enough. Now you have to put it in action and just enjoy it.
Man, I feel like I could talk to you forever.
Hey, but this is, to me, this is the whole point of life, man. It's talking to people you don't know that well, but yet you realize we have so much in common.
Yeah.
All you got to do is open your mouth. Mm-hmm. And I said this to one lady on the plane. I said, you could put a black man and a white man with all the racial profiles behind it in a room, and they're going to come out laughing, saying that Daffy Duck was their favorite cartoon, and Yosemite Sam, and all these little child. You did this. My grandma did that too. Well, I thought, you thought, and what you thought was wrong. So basically, my next article I'm writing, I said, the more you overthink, you stink. Bottom line.
I need that in my life, seriously.
The more you overthink, you stink. And the whole point behind that is understanding the science of, we have over 60 to 80,000 thoughts that go through our mind daily. 60 to 80,000, that's science. It's not me making this stuff up. On average, that's 3,300 words or thoughts per hour. You're going to overthink at something. And if you do, you're going to find yourself probably 20 minutes overthinking something. You just missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah.
Procrastination happened. I'm just after identifying where's that stuff coming from? What am I worrying about that's so negative that it can't keep me in positive moving?
That's awesome. So one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you on is because you have a ability to talk to people in a sense. Well, you said it earlier. You speak feels. You got that ability to cut on that switch within people. I think you have that ability to turn motivation into inspiration. And I know what you did for me just in our conversation at that party. So I'm like, man, let's put him on this podcast and have him reach many people and hopefully do the same. I'm really glad that I was able to have you on, man. I really do appreciate you and what you do.
Well, here it is. One, let me tell you something. I appreciate the opportunity. Here's why. You inspire me because this, for me, this is a stretch. Even writing these articles, it's a stretch. I'm not even supposed to be on this podcast with you. I'm a former basketball player turned basketball trainer that has created the development and understanding of just pure, simple meaning at the foundation, at the core. So it started with personal development, self-help. And the whole point of these articles and the things that I'm leading up to, which I say I really appreciate you for, because you have books out. And for us to even have a conversation and you to have me on your platform is huge, because I'm in the midst of writing a book. No idea how it's going to get done. I don't care. I have no training whatsoever. No formal, no. It's going to get done.
Yeah.
Okay. And people like you, again, inspire me, because I'm able to actually see what it's like in practice on that platform. Here it is, article, my articles interest you enough, and the small conversation interests you enough. You say, man, who is this guy? Where is he coming from? What is he saying?
Well, a couple of things. So as far as the book writing, you'd be surprised, man. A lot of folks, including myself, when we first started working on our books, I didn't know anything about the literary industry. I didn't know anything about writing books.
Dude.
And a lot of folks I've had, they didn't as well. But it was just one of those things where, it was something that was inside of me, and it just needed to come out. And
that's beautiful. But I love your concept and idea behind using fantasy as self-help. And I think it's an escape from reality, right? Yeah. It's like, identify with the character, see if there's things that our character overcame, and how can you do it in your life? And that's exactly what I'm after. Just in a use the simple foundations of what you were taught when you were younger, but you got away from the principles.
Mm-hmm. So where can readers find your articles online, or how can they learn more about your youth programs?
Perfect. Okay. Well, they can find the articles online by going to Miami Community's newspaper, which, again, you can just Google that. Actually, you can also go through www.thetribune.net. I'll spell that out, www.thetribune.net. So these articles are produced every 2 weeks. So I write twice a month. And these are just thoughts I've had in my head. I've found a way to articulate them to the best of my knowledge, where I know they impact people more than just the sport itself. And I find it amusing, because I'm now starting to hear back from people via email that have no idea who I am, what I've done, what I've accomplished, but they can resonate with these articles. So, I guess they're going in the right direction. So I guess you can follow me, Charlie Miller. You can find me very simple, CHARLIE. MILLER. You can find me on, I guess if you type in that in Dallas, and, we go from there. And my email address also is Charlie, CHARLIE @attack, ATTACK, BBALL.com, attackbball.com.
And that's also where they can go to learn more information about your academy.
Yes, correct. You can actually Google Attack Basketball Dallas, and you'll see the philosophy, the mission, all of what we stand for. I'll give you another website as well. One's called Breakthrough Basketball. I'm just making it very simple. Google Charlie Miller Breakthrough Basketball, and you'll see my profile. The camp dates I had this past year, as we're getting ready to now put new dates in within the next couple of months, because I'll start going back again traveling in the spring, and I'll finish up in the fall time.
Okay. All right. Right on, man. And with that, we'll wrap up another episode. Thanks again to Charlie Miller, and to you for joining us for what's going to be an awesome year. There's already about 15 guests lined up for the year, and we are going to discuss some things. As always, if you have a question or comment about this episode or any, or you know an author who you think would be a good fit for this show, let me know. Connect with me on social media, or send an email to info@ch1podcast.com. And something I don't normally do, but I need to get into the habit, is reminding you all to tell your friends about Chapter 1 Podcast. Tell your friends, your family, your coworkers about the guests we've had, the things you loved, or a new book you discovered. Word of mouth is one of the most powerful forms of promotion, and has been the driving force behind the growth of this show. So keep doing what you're doing. Stay awesome. Till next time.